Hello, I'm Marcus Hayes, back for another video about my life with my Ford Escorts. I'm going to start with some bad news, because Maude, my Mk2 Escort Maude, is dead. But only temporarily. She's developed a really bad rattle from inside her bell housing, which seems to go away when I drive a long ride in the clutch. So I think it is just a clutch at fault, but I won't know until I take the car apart. Whatever it is, I think it's at least partly down to my own idiocy when I fit the gearbox recently. And those of you who have been watching my videos will know what I mean. Tomorrow, I'm going to be going on a road trip to Kent to see the company that's going to be rebuilding my spare Type 9 gearbox that's going to go back in Maude. I'm not going to be having any straight cut gears fitted or anything like that because my budget won't stretch that far, but every single bearing will be replaced as well as anything else that doesn't look like it's up to the job. I'm going to have a couple of changes made to the box though. It's going to be fitted with a longer first gear, and it's also going to be modified to take a heavier duty roller bearing on the lay shaft, which should mean it'll be able to handle all the abuse that I'm going to throw at it. You join me today from the cockpit of my dad's trusty Mark I Focus estate, which he's kindly agreed to lend me for a few weeks. Now this car is actually due a cam belt soon, so with the car in my possession, it gives me the perfect opportunity to get that job done. So here is the spare Type 9 gearbox that I took out of Maude a few weeks ago. And this is the one that I'm going to be getting rebuilt. Obviously I won't be using this bell housing because I've got the alloy RS2000 one fitted to the car already. Now what I did the other day is I ground away the casing, the same that I did to the other gearbox, to allow me to use the quick release inserts. I've just sprayed a load of etch primer on all the bare metal parts of the gearbox. I'm not sure whether the company's going to be respraying the casing for me, but if they don't, I can just do it myself before I fit it to the car. As I mentioned a minute ago, I'm going to be having a longer first gear fitted to this gearbox. So I've bought this longer first gear kit, which consists of this modified lay gear cluster and this longer first gear. This kit will change the first gear ratio to a much more usable 2.98 to 1 instead of the 3.65 to 1 ratio that came in the Sierra gearboxes and the 3.36 to 1 gear ratio that came in the Capri boxes. The other modification I mentioned involves having this lay gear machined out to accept a much heavier duty roller bearing, and it also means that a metal sleeve needs to be pressed on the lay shaft so that it'll all fit together. Unfortunately, the company that I'm using are very popular, and the lead time for my gearbox rebuild is going to be 4 to 6 weeks. I'm hoping that I won't have to keep Maude off the road for that long though. As I said before, I think the noise coming from the bell housing is just the clutch. So I bought this AP Racing friction plate, which I plan to buy anyway because it's got a standard one in it at the moment. And I bought this standard type pressure plate. While I'm in there, I'm going to change the spigot bearing and the clutch release bearing. Now the reason I use a standard pressure plate is because the clutch is very heavy when you use an AP Racing pressure plate. Now here I have all the new bearings and the new seals and the gaskets that are obviously going to be going into the gearbox when it's rebuilt. And all these gearbox parts and the clutch kit were bought from Burton Power, which is a company that I use a lot, and I'll leave a link to their website in the description of this video. I'm also going to fit this light flywheel. Now this is 5.75 kilos, and I think the 1800 Zetec one on the car at the moment is around 8 kilos. Now this should help the engine rev up much quicker and should improve the acceleration. And I think this, along with the longer first gear kit, is going to be a nice little package that should work well together. Now this comes from a company called IK Engineering, and I'll leave a link to their website in the description of this video. Hello, it's later on in the day now, and I'm at my workplace. I'm just waiting for my mate Fred, sometimes known as Lee, to come down with his IB5 gearbox from his Zetec S Fiesta. Fred's Fiesta's running a Puma lump, with some of the racing Puma parts fitted as well, and it's safe to say that it's a bit of an ASBO machine, especially with him behind the wheel. Now the Fiesta's been off the road for a couple of years now, but Fred's hoping to get it back on the road this summer. And I'm sure at some point in the future I'll be able to get the car on the channel and go through the spec in a bit more detail. The IB5 gearbox will be getting a full strip down and inspection, but it shouldn't need too much, if anything, because it was running perfectly last time the car was on the road. One thing that will be getting changed though is the diff, because Fred has gone out and bought himself a Quaife ATB, which should transform the car in terms of traction and mean he'll be able to get all the power from the engine to the road. Hello. Hi. Fred, what's going on? Quaife. It's in quite a good nick, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not old.
Fucking hell, man.
Really brand new. It's only about maximum, what, 6, 7 years old or so.
Oh, you bought the gearbox brand new?
Yeah, Racing Puma box. Isn't it?
Oh, it is an actual Racing Puma
Yeah,
box?
it's like old stock, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I bought it off some guy in fucking Doncaster. He had like 11 of them in a crate.
So what's the difference between a Racing Puma? Is it different ratios then, or?
Yeah.
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 Alright, I'll speak to you soon, yeah?
See you later.
Ta-da, Hannah. Good morning. It is now 7:30 AM, which is way too early for me to be up and about, but it's all for a good cause. As I mentioned yesterday, I'm going down to Maidstone in Kent to see the company that's going to be rebuilding mine and Fred's gearboxes. So who is the company that I'm going to see? Well, it's one of the biggest names in the game, HPE Motorsport. HPE, or Harris Performance Engines, have been around since the 1930s, and ever since then the business has been passed down through the generations. The current owner, Jeff Harris, runs the business with his son James, and it's James who I've been speaking to recently on Facebook regarding my gearbox rebuild. Not only are Jeff and James absolute wizards when it comes to making Fords go faster, but they also own two of my favourite Escorts on the scene. Jeff has got a lovely gold Mk2 Escort 4-door that he calls Goldie, that has got 170 bhp HPE Pinto under the bonnet, which is actually for sale at the moment. A lot of people would consider 170 bhp Pinto to be big power, but in the HPE world, it's actually rather tame compared to some of the other engines that they build. James's Mk2 Escort is a perfect example of that. His light blue 2-door is running a dry sumped Pinto on ITBs that is pushing out around 250 bhp. For a naturally aspirated single overhead cam 8-valve engine, 250 bhp is mega, and James regularly runs low 11-second passes on the quarter mile at Santa Pod. I'll leave links in the description of this video to the HPE website and the HPE Facebook page, and I'll also leave a link to one of James's runs at Santa Pod, so definitely go and check them out. I should be at HPE Motorsport in around an hour's time if I don't get lost or hit any traffic, so I'll catch up with you when I get there. Right, so I'm here at HPE Motorsport. This is James Harris.
How's it going?
The man who I've been speaking to about rebuilding my Type 9 and Fred's IB5. Now, I'm sure James is far too busy to stand around talking to me all day, so I'm going to get the gearboxes inside. Alright, this is Jeff Harris, the boss man here at HPE.
Morning.
So here you can see the difference. This is my lay gear, and this is a modified one to take the roller bearing. This makes the Type 9s a lot stronger. Right, I need to get myself to work now, so nice to meet you.
And you, my friend.
I'll speak to you soon, yeah?
Take care.
Take care. See ya. What absolute legends the Harrises are. Really nice blokes, and their reputation speaks for itself. So I know that my Type 9 gearbox is in really good hands, and I can't wait to get it back and see the results. So I'm almost at work now after my long trip back from Maidstone. I'm only about 45 minutes late as well, which isn't bad. I don't get paid any extra for turning up on time anyway. It was really good to finally meet Jeff and James Harris after following what they're up to online for many years. As I said before, it's going to be about 4 to 6 weeks before I get my gearbox back. Obviously I can't wait, but before then I'm going to take the gearbox out of Maude and replace the flywheel and the clutch for the new ones that I've bought, and then put that gearbox back in the car temporarily, and hopefully I should be able to get Maude back on the road, and then as soon as James has finished doing my gearbox I can just switch them round. As always, massive thanks for all the support. If you haven't already done so, do click subscribe and activate the notification bell to be kept right up to date with future uploads. Shout out to everyone who's been asking for an update on the Mark 1. As soon as I make any progress with the car, I'll definitely let you know. If you haven't already done so, do check out my Facebook and my Instagram, and I'll leave the links to that in the description of this video. Until next time, thanks for watching.